Hi. So now the girl has left home. You're thinking what's happening. So particularly people here leave home, stay in university campuses. They're making new friends, and that would include boyfriends. What sort of things do you expect around that time? What should people be mindful of?
So there's a huge need to talk about sexual education, contraception, safe contraceptive options, menstrual hygiene, taking care of their health, like even exercise and good food.
But if I pause there a little bit, so if you go one step beyond this, a girl is now in the market, open market, I suppose. When I mean market, she's exposed to many things that are happening around her. She's looking after
there
some
are certain
fashion icons.
trendy things and certain things not very trendy.
And then she wants to be in a certain way. Do you get to see women or young girls worried about their physical appearance, their dressing sense?
Body image is a big thing.
Yeah, how would boys perceive
especially
them?
When
the pressure
they are
to have a
on,
boyfriend, that sort of thing. What do you see? Do they come to you with that kind of issue?
Yeah, especially when they are, say, like I mentioned earlier, polycystic ovary, right? So they could have acne, a lot of pimples. Yeah. They could have excessive hair growth, which we say hirsutism related to that. They could be obese. Weight is, BMI is more than 30. Weight goes up to 70, 80 kilograms. So then they're really confused when you just tell them go do exercise. So we have to be with them, take them through the whole process.
So in many ways, what you're trying to say there is, there are real issues behind all of these things. Just not that the girl is not pretty because she doesn't care for her appearance. There are medical issues. So what I'm reading here is these things affect their confidence, and there are solutions out there. Go and meet your doctor. Go and speak to somebody, because they could be your partners in trying to deal with this rather than going back into your shell, thinking that you're not attractive.
Even stress at work, isn't it? So many times they don't know. Yeah. They need to, meet a psychologist or a psychiatrist, So how do you deal with
I think what you're saying is these are real issues for these young girls to grapple with, but help is available out there. So just go and get some help. And you mentioned briefly about sexual education, sexual hygiene. In the Western world, we do get exposed to sexual education at a much younger age,
and
teenager,
school level also.
School level. How open is sexual education here? How much do they know about?
That's what many times, not all schools. I mean, there is no structured program where it is dealt with in a very casual way. You just inform them about bodies, like reproductive health. They do get to know in their school syllabus, right? But most of the kids are either too awkward or too shy to ask. And when they reach their 20s or in workplace, 25 plus, I being a gynecologist, get to meet a lot of couples who then come with an unwanted pregnancy because they have myth about contraception and they think an abortion or a MTP, termination is easier than following a safe contraception. So I wish there were ways where, they reach out earlier and, they have the fear of being judged also many times. Yeah, okay. So, and then you also deal with a lot of over-the-counter pills which are available, and then they keep taking that erratically and they land up with more problem, more bleeding.
So you have the
and
issue
like
of sort of body appearance impacting on their confidence. Work, that is university work, college work, trying to get a job, an interview, that sort of pressures, getting to them. And then the pressure to get into a relationship, again, that's a long process, right? But then do you see the impact of this in, say, for instance, if I'm getting to get married or trying to get pregnant, and obviously that should have an impact, right? But are you able to have those conversations to say, hey, you're not getting pregnant because, stress could be an issue? And how open are people to these conversations?
See, when you talk about stress or you even refer them to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, many times our people think, I don't have a mental disease. Just that well-being, like we said, illness to wellness. So just for well-being, just to point out that you have a problem, they need to meet a psychologist and then, just have a little bit of interaction. So there are no simple solutions to certain problems, like stress. Sometimes stress is very important. You need some kind of stress to drive you. Adrenaline is needed. But when it is difficult for you to cope, like you have a lot of type A personalities, then they do need to, probably break down the whole day into small parts and see how much they achieve. Where a counseling with a psychologist or a psychiatrist goes along with.
I think you mentioned quite a number of things there. We do get to see a lot of them presenting with all sorts of problems, particularly in that age. And you mentioned
and
type A
that stress
personality.
then when they get married leads on to infertility, and that's again a big issue.
So you have this kind of invisible thing called stress. Everyone goes through stress in one way, but I think what I'm hearing here is the person's ability to cope with stress and how you manage your life so that stress doesn't become a problem. Stress is, as you say, an important part of life, but you don't want that to interfere.
But there are ways to deal with it too. Your stress will keep increasing as your responsibilities increase.
So here what we're trying to address and...
so reach out. That's important to reach out.
And also maybe sensitize the professionals to a certain extent to see if they would be more willing to address this in a language that these people understand, not stigmatizing, making it more personal to them, and not ignoring that this could lead to other issues. Because again, with the conference we were talking about how there could be hormonal changes because of stress. Because stress does affect your physiology, functioning of the body. How your immune response can go down. It will be more prone for infections, for instance. So I think even within our community, the medical community, we don't really look at the impact of stress on biological processes.
And a lot of physiological.
Exactly. And sometimes doctors ourselves are very stressed out to look for these things.
True.
So that is very interesting that you mentioned that. And looks like, when a girl is trying to be a mother, she needs to be very relaxed. Yeah. And I know there is a lot of interesting things coming up. And even in Chennai, I was looking at spas, massage parlors, beautiful things coming up to make women feel good and relaxed. I guess a lot of those things can help as well, and
which we can talk about.
And of course we have many infertility centers for people who have tried all those methods and still are not succeeding because of whatever problems they have within biology. So wow, that's amazing that there is so much out there, and all that we ask is just be aware and just address them. Yeah. So thank you for that. So now we've come to a situation where a couple is trying to get pregnant, and we have addressed the issue that stress might have a maybe a factor in that, in infertility. So let's then now look at what happens when a girl falls pregnant, and then we take it from there in the next video. Yeah. Okay then. Excellent.